Welcome back to the Buck Junkie Podcast, where we're going to talk about all things about killing bucks. What are we brought to today by Mikey?
Blind bags.
Blind bags. If you ever find yourself in a blind, need some refreshments, bring your blind bag with you. I've got one. I think it's, what brand is that?
The Arctic one? The cooler or the blind bag?
The blind bag. It's an Arctic blind bag. And
It's a cooler on the morning. It's a blind bag in the evening.
It'll hold 12 refreshing drinks with ice.
You got to put the
airplane bottles.
Well, we're wrapping up hunting season, deer season in Mississippi for us up North Mississippi this week. Actually, today while we're recording this podcast, so we're going to talk about that today, gentlemen. And then we've got a special guest. That's the first guest we've invited in, right?
That's right, Malia Tice.
Malia Tice from the Desoto County Soil and Water Conservation District.
You got that right.
I got that right, didn't I? She's going to come in and talk about tree giveaway. They do a tree giveaway every year. So whether you want to put some trees in your yard, whether you want to add some for your hunting plots, or you need some trees. If you're in DeSoto County resident, you can go to the tree giveaway, and Malia's going to step in here in just a minute and talk to us about it. And then I'm sure we'll carry on and talk about our last hunts of the year, how deer season went. Mikey, you got it on. What do you got on topic here?
Oh, we got a few things. We got bad shots and misses.
Ooh, I've had my share of those.
End of the season killing.
Yeah. And then what Jamie, anything else we're going to talk about on there? I don't know.
What all got ate?
Yeah, what we ate at deer camp this year.
Shooting does and eating does.
Shooting does and eating does. Yeah, I've got a couple of recipes. We're going to talk about that deer gumbo we made. It was good.
Good stuff.
But without further ado, I think we're going to bring Miss Malia in. So let's do a little shucking and jiving in these chairs. Get after it. So we've got our first guest here on Buck Junkies, guys. How do y'all feel about having Miss Malia Tice here with us today? Malia, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Well, when we started this podcast, we'd been getting some trees from you because we know you as a tree lady. At least I do. but we've kind of known you for a while. And Mikey, I guess y'all go back. Y'all have been friends, family.
Yeah, we've been friends for 10 years or more.
At least, yeah.
How long have you worked for the DeSoto County Soil and Conservation District?
I have been there a little over 11 years now.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome. Have you been part of this annual tree giveaway every year?
I have. Actually, before I even started working there, I volunteered with them. So I've been helping for over 11 years with the tree giveaway.
Well, that's why we wanted you to come in, because as being hunters and being land stewards, and we've gotten trees from you in the past that we plant on the properties we hunt. We wanted everybody to get the word out, help y'all get the word out.
Yes, absolutely.
That if you're in DeSoto County, you can get some free trees.
That's right.
And so that's what we wanted to talk about. Mikey, you got some questions lined up for us, right?
That's right.
I see you printed them out for us here. What are we going to talk to Miss Malia about today?
Well, I mean, first off, just tell us a little bit about, how and why does this program start?
Okay, so the program, well, first let me back up and say that our district was formed in 1944. The program started a few years after that, after everything got set up and kind of organized. So it's been going on a really, really long time, like longer than I am old. So it's an old program, but it's a very good program. We enjoy doing this program each year, so it's good.
Going back, this is y'all probably wouldn't think this is funny or anything, but I have a little bit of dealings with the Soil and Water Conservation District.
Come on.
I think I was in, I want to say 7th grade, and they made us write a report it was on conservation, and in the report I wrote, I won first place in the county.
It was our essay contest.
Yeah, I won first place in 7th grade in the essay contest, and I got to go down to Jackson and present that report. And I don't remember where I finished in Jackson, but I won. It was like $50 back when I was in 7th grade was a lot of money, and that's what they paid me. So.
Okay, that's awesome. I had no idea.
Yeah,
so our essay and poster contest, all that information is going out for the schools like this week.
Well, it had to be 1987. That was when I was in 7th grade. So.
I'm going to pull our records.
Right there.
I'm going to pull our records and see if I can find some photos of
You can sell the winning essay.
I'll give you $100 for that essay.
Okay. Hey, I don't know if we have that essay, but I'm going to see what I can find. That's awesome.
That's been a long time ago, but I remember my mom and dad taking me down there.
Yeah. So if you went to Jackson, then you won first place in the state.
I did.
So kudos to you.
Well, yeah.
We just got back from Jackson a couple of weeks ago. Had lots of first place winners here in DeSoto County.
Yeah.
So
I was born in '87. If that makes you feel any better.
You're such a
Well, I was
baby.
writing essays on conservation. That tells you how long I take it back. I love my trees.
There you go.
So about how many trees do y'all give away a year?
Ooh, so this year we have 25,000 seedlings.
25,000.
25,000. There's enough for everybody.
Yeah.
You just got to show up.
So those species vary from what to what?
Okay, so I can just go through the list.
That's fine.
We've got 21 different species. So we'll have the weeping willow. We'll have bald cypress. This year we're doing blueberry bushes. We had people ask for them, so we thought, hey, why not? Let's try it and see how it goes. We're gonna have red buds, ginkgos, hydrangeas, loblolly pine, native pecan, pawpaw trees, also good for the pollinators. Make sure you get them. Persimmons, red mulberry, river birch, sassafras, sawtooth oak, spice bush, sweet babe magnolia, tulip poplar, white flowering dogwood, white oak, willow oak, and the Yoshino cherries, which are backed by popular demand.
That's a lot of trees.
It is a lot of trees, and it takes lots of volunteers too. So
I don't think I've ever seen the official name of half of these. It's like, oh, that oak tree out there,
Yeah.
yeah, and we know that the hunters in DeSoto County love oak trees, so we definitely try and stock up on those for the giveaway.
So how does it work? Do you have to sign up and tell people like how many trees you want? Are you allocating so many trees per person in DeSoto County, or tell us how it works about going and getting them?
All right, so basically on February 10th, you show up. You show up at the Bank Plus Sports Center. We're going to be at the indoor soccer field. It's right by not the movie theater, the bowling alley.
It's Snowden Grove, South Bay.
Right
Yeah,
there.
by the bowling
Okay.
alley.
So you just show up, and we actually have volunteers that'll be bundling the trees in sets of 5, and then that's for all the species except for the pine. The pine you get a little bit more, but you just get in line, come on through. You don't have to sign anything. We just let people start coming through the line at 8 a.m. So.
And these are for your yard.
These are
Hunting
for your hunting
land,
land,
whatever you wanna do.
Yes, they're for your hunting land. They're for your yard. You know, lots of trees have to be taken down, of course, to for the new development. And you know, we understand that. But the thing is, to be a good steward is to replace the trees. So you know, you may not be able to plant every one of them back, but hey, we're trying to help you guys put trees back into DeSoto County, into the community.
And that's what we've utilized it for, you know, is I've done it at the house. You know, I've got trees from Leah is go out there and just pasture land that I'm tired of cutting it. I ain't gonna do nothing with it. So I go out there and plant persimmons, the sawtooth oaks or some of the other oaks just to have something out there. And I'm not gonna cut it anymore. So, you know, why not just plant
Create some tree
That's
habitat.
right.
Well, I mean, you've already seen deer in your yard
Yeah.
from them trees.
Yep. Trees I put in my yard. I mean, I draw every deer in the neighborhood off them sawtooth oaks, you know, while they're dropping.
So on the sawtooths, how long did it take them? They're fast dropping acorn trees.
And they vary. I mean, and Leo attest to this, you know, some of your little seedlings are probably not going to make it, but some of them will. And some of them, just the genetics of them, they'll grow really fast. You know, in 3 to 4 years, those trees will probably be, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches in diameter at the base. And they'll probably be producing acorns by then. And then some of them may not be no bigger than, you know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches in diameter, just a bad genetics. But they'll all produce, you know, but it takes 3 to 4 years for them to start producing. And
I've always heard those are some of the fastest ones. Like if you're
they
wanting
grow really fast.
if you're wanting to plant a tree for deer and for acorns dropping, especially in bow season, you know, early fall, that sawtooth is a best bang for your buck.
But
And y'all are giving them away free. So.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we come get them. We've got lots of different oak trees just for that very reason, because, like I said, the hunters, they know that that's what the wildlife likes. And so there's lots of people that come back each year and say, hey, we did great with what we planted last year. We're coming to get some more to spread out, you know, across our land. So
Do y'all give recommendations on how to plant them, how to care for them, or any of that stuff? Or is it just here, take these trees? You're on your own.
no, we do have people that will share some information there at the event. We'll plug some information on our website. It's pretty simple. People think that planting trees is a hard task. It is not, guys. It's so simple.
It's simple as a sharpshooter, and that's pretty much it.
Drop it in the hole and close it back up.
So
Wiggle
these
that
are
sharpshooter
seedlings.
back and
These
forth
are,
and drop
you know,
them in.
Yeah.
These are going to be anywhere from 6 inches up to about 2 foot. Every species will be a different size, and we won't know what size they are until we actually
You'll have a
open
2
them.
foot
Yeah.
sawtooth stick. I'd love to have some of them.
Some
Well,
persimmon trees that's already
Yeah.
dropping.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know the size until we actually open them the day of the event.
Yeah.
Where'd y'all get them from?
So that's a good question. We actually get them from 2 different locations. Here, the last few years, we've been reaching out to the Arkansas Forestry Commission. They plant a lot of seedlings each year. And then the Warren County Nursery in McMinnville, Tennessee. They are such great people. We've been working with them for lots of years too. But that is where we get our trees. We used to get some from our Mississippi Forestry, but they no longer plant trees. So we tried to still patronize the forestry associations. So they're very helpful to us.
Well, does every county do this?
No, not every county. I wish that every county would or could, because lots of people throughout the state contact us to find out how they can get trees in their county. But I will tell you that Tate County has a tree giveaway, and Tunica County will have a tree giveaway. So those are a couple surrounding counties that, if you live in those counties, you can go and pick up trees. But there's a list on our website that will tell you all the either tree sales or tree giveaways throughout the state. Because some districts, they actually do tree sales to help put a little money into their community for education purposes. So,
Do you have to live in the county to come get trees from you? Is that the only stipulation, or what are the rules?
So for DeSoto County, most of the time, yes, you are supposed to live in the county where you
Get the tree.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if if I knew somebody in Shelby County and across the state line, if they wanted to come get some free trees, y'all ain't giving them to them. Y'all checking IDs?
No.
I can just tell you that I am not a police officer. That is, and I am pleading the fifth. I am not a police officer.
As long as I show up with a DeSoto County tag on my truck, we're probably gonna be good.
We are not there to police it. I promise you that.
Oh, we pay tax. It's good for the county to put these trees in the ground. So.
It is, and that one of the things that we do is try and educate people on being good stewards of our land, and we do a lot of education in our schools, and so we feel like if we teach them at a young age, then maybe as they grow up, they will continue doing these things. So right now is our 3rd grade tree program week. So this morning we were in schools teaching the little 3rd graders about the importance of trees. So
that's pretty much y'all's main focus, just educating people on what the trees are for, why they're useful to the environment and things like that. If you want to talk about that, just
for this program. So we do a lot of different various education programs, but this program is all about trees, and it's a way for us to get our, trees back into the community, because DeSoto County, as y'all know, is like one of the fastest growing counties in the state. And so we have a lot of trees taken down, which is, understandable, but it's our job to try and remind people, hey, let's make good decisions and put trees back in the community where we can. So that's why we do it,
And desirable trees. That's what I noticed when looking at the list. I mean, a lot of these are trees that you want around your house or where you're at, or they've got some other benefit than just, a sweet gum tree or something.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's something like what she was talking about is, us being the fastest growing county in the state. You don't realize like a 300 acre block of property that a developer buys, they strip every tree off of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those subdivisions out there by Lewisburg is not a tree one in the whole subdivision,
So
unless somebody's got a bush in their yard.
How many trees are on 300 acres? How many oak trees, how many different pollinating trees, all these things that are good for the environment. How many do they take off of that property and they're not getting replaced? They're going to poke up a little oak tree in front of the yard that's probably not going to make it.
Yeah.
And
Or crepe myrtle.
yeah. Crepe myrtle.
I will say, though, that, all the cities and the counties, they all have, requirements for the developers. So, as we do understand that trees have to be cut down because we have to have them for many different reasons, the developers, they're pretty good about putting trees back in the community. But what's even better is that the people who are buying these houses, they want the trees. So they'll reach out all throughout the year and say, hey, don't let us miss that tree giveaway.
Yeah.
We want to come get those trees. So we try and put it out on our Facebook page. And, just our website, and just share so that people know, hey, it's coming up. It's February 10th. Show up. And that's all you have to do is show up.
That's what, on a Thursday?
It is.
Thursday?
It is. It's Thursday, February 10th. So the giveaway will start at 8 a.m. And then we usually wrap up at noon or before. So there's been many a years that we've given all the trees out by like 10:30 in the morning.
Really? Do you put a cap on like how many each person can get that shows up? So if you show up, are you guaranteed you're probably going to get one?
If you show up early.
Oh, okay. So it is. You better get there lined up.
Well, I can just tell you from experience. Last year I went up there with Malia, and I helped a little bit. I didn't help a whole lot, but when I got up there, like the sawtooth oaks, they go fast. Mm-hmm. A lot of the hunters are showing up, picking those up. A couple bundles of them to put on the property, and create some kind of orchard or something for them to bow hunt over. And so those go quick. And some of the more popular flowering trees that they have, they're gonna go quick too. If you get there late, you're probably gonna be stuck with pines and bald cypress.
Yeah,
but you'd be surprised.
Those cypress trees be out for the crawfish pond.
That's what I'm sitting here thinking.
Hey, and the pine trees, people are like, yeah, I don't really want to see my neighbor in a few years, so we're gonna line our property with them.
I'm kind of thinking that at the road myself right now.
I'm trying to think. You was talking about that essay back in the day. When I was in school, like Arbor Day, they gave us pine trees in school.
That was us.
And right down the street from my house, where I used to live at, there's a row of pine trees that I was given in first grade that I planted in behind our house.
They're still there.
They're still standing there.
So that was actually us. Like, we used to give away trees during the school program. So now we've kind of gotten away from that because we've learned through our administrators at the schools and the teachers that as the kids have, over the years, it's kind of not the same. And taking a seedling home, they were like, they're not making them home.
Yeah,
they're not making them home anymore.
Yeah.
So, what else could we do? So, yes. But yes, so many people have reached out over the years and said, hey, I planted pine trees that you gave us in, the 60s or the 70s, whenever it was. And we've even gotten people sending in pictures. So it's pretty cool to see how, like, it's just one big circle, right? So you plant a tree and maybe it has to go years and years down the road, but then next thing you know, somebody else in your family's planted a tree, and it's really cool. I don't know. I guess that's why they call me the tree lady.
When I go home today, I'll send you some pictures of those trees that we planted back in 1984.
Yes, send them. I like to put that out there. People can see the hard work, even though probably it wasn't hard work planting those, right? They were
No.
little, probably about, I don't know, a foot long.
Yeah, they wasn't big at all, I'm sure.
So is there anything else coming up, Soil and Water, that you'd like to talk about in DeSoto County?
Well, we've got our membership drive going on right now. So we're taking in memberships for that. We have teacher workshops coming up this summer that I'm starting to plan. We host a conservation kids camp out at Arcabutla. It's a week-long camp that teaches
When
kids.
is that? And do y'all keep the kids for the week?
Yeah, Michael's going.
So it's for kindergarten through fifth grade.
Okay. That's
And,
younger.
You're out.
But how old is Michael? He might could
He's
volunteer.
12. Yeah.
He might could volunteer with me. We don't keep them all day, though. I'm sorry.
I'm looking for a summer
Yeah,
camp.
yeah.
We have to send them back.
Day and night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to send them back. I don't think I'm that brave.
There you go.
Let's see what we have. Lots of activities. People really don't even know that we exist most of the time. That's what I try and do is, share why we're in our county and what we do. We help our landowners with conservation practices. We try and educate farmers on, being better stewards of the land. Our federal agency that is our partner is NRCS, which is the Natural Resources Conservation Service. So we're located, just down the street here in Hernando, and we see lots of farmers, and, as you can see, support local farmers. That's important to us. Without farmers, we'd be in a real huge mess, right?
That's right.
Oh, that's for sure. Well, we went to it was a food plot seminar that y'all hosted here in town locally, and that was real interesting. And we met the state biologist and have since talked to him and had him come out and look at some of our land. And there's a lot of great things out there that people may not know exist that are free resources that the state provides or your
Right.
local your local district provides. And so that's a big thing about bringing some awareness to that cause. And that's why we wanted you to come in and talk about the tree program
Absolutely.
and the
I
other things you
appreciate
got
it.
going on.
Yeah, because without her, or their program, we would have never met John, know, and been able to consult with him and get his advice on things and, different things like that, and that's a resource that nobody even thinks about. It's out there.
Rarely uses.
I hate to say it's free, it is, but,
There's taxes paid for it,
That's
so I
right.
don't feel like it's free.
Yeah. Well, we are here to help the community. We may not, there are some federal dollars that help with different activities and programs that, people have going on. But for the most part, if anything, we can give guidance and connect you with people that might be able to better help you on your property or your land if you have questions or concerns. So we're here for that. All you have to do is reach out to me.
Well, keep us in the loop anytime y'all have some seminars or anything going on, because we will be glad to help get some awareness out there to it.
Wonderful.
And I will be in attendance at a lot of them.
Yay. Well, we're excited to have you guys there, and I really appreciate y'all bringing me in and letting me talk about the tree giveaway. We just try and share about this because I don't know how people miss it, but they miss it each year. But you can find the information on our website if you visit www.desotoswcd.com. On our homepage, you'll see the list of trees that we're giving out, and then under that is the link where you can locate the list that shows all the tree giveaways or sales throughout the state. So
Great.
Good deal.
If they need to contact you, where can folks do that at?
So my direct line is 662-912-4152, or they can email me at Desoto County SWCD@gmail.com.
Well, Malia, thanks so much. It's always good to see you.
Thank you. Good
We
to
appreciate
see you too.
Appreciate all the work you do with the trees.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week too.
We'll be
Y'all
there.
better come.
We will be
there.
there. We gotta get these kids getting some trees in the ground.
There you go. There you go. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
thanks, Malia.
So did y'all learn anything about the tree giveaway?
I'm getting me some cypress for the crawfish pond.
We got some, Mikey, you went and got us some last year.
Yeah.
And first off, how many did we get? Do you remember?
Not exactly, but because some of those bundles, like Malia was talking about, they put 5 or whatever.
5 in a bundle.
It's usually they're tangled up, so they're not counting them out exact.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell what you got.
But didn't they like they didn't have enough people show up because it was bad weather or something? She's like, come get some of these trees and had some extras we got.
Well, they always have. They always struggle for volunteers because a lot of their stuff is volunteer work, and they look for volunteers to help with anything they're doing. So they got people up there volunteering to wrap these trees up. I mean, they're getting muddy and nasty with the trees got mud all over the bottom of them, sand and stuff like that. But so when you get there, I mean, they're bundling them up. So you just kind of pick out which tree you want, stand in line, and you get which species you want. You just kind of got to have it in your head which one you want and what you're going to do with them. I mean, the best thing to do is not waste the freaking trees. Don't go there and get a bunch of trees that you're not going to use.
You ever got any, Jamie?
Yeah. Mikey actually got some me a couple years ago. I think I done some sawtooth, and the other one was, what was it, Mikey?
Was yours dropped already since you planted?
It was some other. It may have been a
I
shoe
think
mark or something.
a willow. No, it wasn't a willow oak. But anyway, the oaks never did. The oaks I had didn't make it.
I imagine there's a big percentage of
It
them.
got
Probably
really,
not.
really, really cold. Like
ground
froze. It got really cold. Like right after I got the trees.
Put them in.
Well, see, last year that's what happened after I went up there with Malia and got trees, and then turned around and went and planted those trees. Me, Michael, Dustin, and the other boys went down there and planted those trees. We had that big snow and ice.
Right
so
after.
Right now, I don't know how many we got left. If I'm sure a bunch of them made it. I see some of them, but it's hard to say. That was pretty bad.
So if you go get these trees and you can't get them in the ground, how long? I should have asked her. How long a time frame do you have?
I mean, you've got a while. They're pretty strong. I mean, the best thing to do is take a bucket with you, or something that'll hold a little bit of water. In place of get the trees you want. If you're not going to be able to plant them that week, or I mean, ours, I kept those. I how long I keep them back there in that cool, that white cool?
You probably a
They
week
were
or
back there
two,
a freaking week or two.
Yeah.
at least.
You know, I kept water on them though.
Yeah, just keep them damp.
Yeah,
basically.
don't
keep the
drown
root
them.
alive.
Don't fill the bucket up where they're floating. Just keep them damp. Check them every day. Make sure that they're okay, and keep them in a cool, dry place.
yeah,
Yeah.
not where they're gonna freeze or the water
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
water itself freeze around the roots.
I know you had a cooler there for a while behind Jamie's, held some trees for a while.
Yeah, that was probably some of my trees.
Well, yeah, that was
They start budding in the cooler. that
He was putting acorns off
was
the
water
cooler.
oaks.
Yeah, they were water oaks. Yeah.
Little water oaks. But what else we talking about today, Mikey?
All right, so I guess we got bad shots and misses, man.
Bad shots and misses. Deer season is officially over today
Yep.
in our part of the state. I think they get 2 more weeks if you're in the southern part of Mississippi, don't you? I think
I'm
they
not
got the
sure
middle of
about that.
February. I think so. I'm pretty sure. But it's over for ours. So
Hey,
we had some bad shots and bad misses this year.
man, we had a whole season of
Yeah.
that. I mean, we've cleaned some deer that I wish they would have been misses.
It happens. It bees that way sometimes.
Yeah, I think we need to spend a little more time on the range this year with the boys.
I think if you're hunting with youngsters,
Shot
that's going to
placement.
happen. They're aiming for mid belly when we try to get them to shoot. Shoot.
They're
the shoulder.
consistent.
They are.
They
They're
sure are.
consistent. I know Michael's got some work to do. Everything he got shot every deer he shot this year. He shot for 2 does and 2 bucks. He got a coyote though. He got
Yeah.
a coyote.
He put a good shot on
yeah, I
coyote.
don't know how he did that.
And that was what? 250, 300 yards probably.
50 yards. Yeah, 6.5.
So yeah, I guess today we're going to talk about bad shots and misses. Everybody has those. I mean, if you've hunted long enough,
If you had, you lying. I
that's
think.
right.
Yeah.
You have not hit every deer you've shot
Everybody
at,
hadn't
and
dropped
you
them
ain't
right there.
Yeah, that's right. You're gonna make bad shots, and that can be a lot of different things. But that's kind of what we're gonna go through today is what should you do if either one of these happens, and if you're not sure, did you hit the deer? Did you not hit the deer? Because sometimes you can shoot at a deer in a field or wherever you're hunting at. You're not sure if you hit the deer. It runs off, tail down. You don't know if you hit the thing or not. So, what's the first step you should do when you step out of that stand? What should you do?
My thing is when you pull that trigger, you count that as a hit. Regardless, unless that deer goes back out there to feed and 100% in your mind that
Could have been hit.
you did not touch. If he runs out of that field, you consider that a hit until you put all your effort into it.
That's right.
There's been plenty of times where, we've seen it this year. Deer act like it not hit. Let's go look and see. And heck, you walk in the woods and there it lays,
Yeah.
So, definitely before you even get out of the stand, put forth the effort, treat that animal as you did hit it. And, don't just walk out there. Well, I don't see no blood, walk off, spend some time on it.
Yeah, the main thing I think is Daddy always taught us as a kid is like mark something, like mark a tree or some brush or something where that deer was at when you shot or the last place you saw the deer at. Because you take that one plantation field, man, that's a lot of ground to cover if you're not sure.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing that I learned. When you take that shot, photo right there in your mind. Where was that deer standing?
Right.
Which way did it go? Find you a landmark, whether it's a tree that's right behind it, whether it's that close off the trail, which way it went. You don't just go to getting down, putting all your stuff up, and then realize, oh, I don't know where that
Yeah, I
deer
know
was
exactly
standing
where
or
it
went.
went.
Yeah,
Right.
And that's easy. It's easy to do.
Oh, it is.
In the moment, especially if it's a big buck out there, something that got your blood pumping, you ready to get down and see, And 2, something else to think about, don't jump down and run out there, You're in a hurry to do that, but that might be what keeps you from getting that deer is he gets up and runs and he may not sit down again,
Biggest deer I ever shot. I was young, and that's what I did. I pushed it, and
we had that
retrieved
happen
it.
this year with Michael's deer.
Yeah.
Twice. He had a doe that did the same thing. We hopped down. I knew he hit it. I saw him hit it. I was watching him with binoculars in the food plot. Hit it back. Knew right where it went in the ditch. So I was like, well, I know where that deer went. And I was like, well, let's see if we can find some blood. We got down, found a little bit of blood. It didn't drop anymore. We went to where it went in. As soon as we got over to the ditch, that deer got back up. It was laying down. If we'd have left it right there and we'd have backed out and not, gave it a few hours, the deer probably would have expired. You hate to leave one and think it's hit and suffered, but sometimes it's better
then push it.
to give it a little while. And I like to sit there 30 minutes at least before I go mess with anything. Unload my gun, collect myself. I'm usually, adrenaline's going, you're pumped up. But if you'll take that time and get those mental markers and where you was, what you did, rethink the shot, not just, oh crap, I missed, like you talking about. That's, that's the first stage. Now, when you get on the ground, I'm no expert tracker. That's not.
A lot of times if like Jamie was saying, a mental note of a landmark there, not just where you shot the deer, but the last place you've seen that deer, the last visit, especially on a field. Where did that deer exit that field at? Did it exit by that cedar tree? Did it go by the cane? Where did it exit the field at? Because a lot of times on a big field, it's hard when you get down.
It doesn't look
your
the
feet
same.
hit the ground. Where was he standing at? Crap. That's a lot.
It is.
There's a lot of area out there. You got to start searching for little droplets of blood if it's a bad shot, and you're necessarily not necessarily going to find those. And that's kind of like with Michael's deer. And I want you to tell about that here in a second. But it was snowing that day, so there was a lot of snow falling that day. And after Michael made those shots, and we didn't find any blood out in the field.
Yeah, because it done got late. We had flashlights trying to find it. It was snowing now.
So, making that mental note of where that deer exited the field at, or the last place you've seen him, he ran by that big white oak because he's running through the woods or something. Sometimes you may not find blood right there, but you go to that last place you've seen him at, and you may walk over there, and
there it
all of
is.
a sudden there's, 50, 60 yards away where you last seen him, the blood trail started. That deer it was a bad hit, and I'm not going to go into the details of why it takes them a while to bleed, but, it takes them a little while sometimes, depending on where you hit that deer at, before it starts bleeding. And, sometimes you go over there and find it 50, 60 yards away, and generally you would have walked down and looked there and, well, crap, there's no blood. I didn't hit it.
Yeah.
Well, I've found, I've had deer that I've shot, and we've had a good blood trail, and then it just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't know, it's like it clotted up or something. You don't know where you hit it. It might be bright blood that was hit on his leg or something, and it just, you can trail 100, 200, or 300 yards, and then the blood trail just seems like it plays out. You never find the deer.
Yeah. And the best things to do is, if you made a marginal shot or a bad shot or whatever, is to not go over and push that deer. Is get down and make sure you can find a reference point where you shot that deer at. If you find blood or where it went in the field at, drop a hat, drop a
toilet paper.
Yeah, toilet paper or whatever, something there, and well, we're gonna give this thing till in the morning. And that's what we did with Michael's deer. And I want you to tell about that hunt anyways.
So let's take it through that. What's some steps? So as soon as you get down, you sit there, you kind of made your mental markers. You've got down. You're going to look for blood where the shot happened, right?
Yep.
That's the next. And so how do you go about? What do you go about when y'all are looking for blood?
I mean, Daddy, you didn't walk over there and say, well, I missed and you left. No, you looked. I mean, we spent, feeling pretty confident you did miss. You still spent 30, 45 minutes, an hour looking. We always just made a big circle pattern.
And that's like, something else, we talk about getting down. If it's convenient and you have somebody you can call on, get back up over there, because, you're in the moment. You're going to be trying to rush your judgment. And it never hurts to have that guy beside you, your buddy you're hunting with, say, oh, wait a minute, tell me what happened. Let's go from there. And then once you get to that point, like Jamie said, we always done a circle or a grid pattern. Just if you can't find anything, split up, just go back and forth. And if you can cover 30 or 40 yards window where that deer went in the thicket or where your shot was, you're going to cover where that deer went. Look for ruffled up leaves. It may not be blood, but you may start be able to actually see where that deer was struggling to run or, kicking up leaves, kicking up mud. Look for the tracks. I mean, who knows?
Dragging a leg.
Because
that's how
Michael's, so that was what I was going to get at. I've learned, hunt with you this year, Mikey, you look for where that deer was standing.
Yeah.
Look for his prints. Look for what they do. You might not have blood, but you can tell which direction that deer went. If he went, he was hurt, or if he went, he just ran off because he got startled or whatever. A lot of times from those tracks, you can get direction from those too, where you might not have blood.
Yeah.
On a bad shot.
So and that works in some instances, but like that one, it was a high traffic area. I mean, there's 20, 30 deer in that field. So walking over there, it was hard for me to find without just pinpointing this is where that deer was standing.
Which one was where? Yeah.
So there's 15 different sets of tracks going in the same direction. You're like, oh man, this ain't good.
So I'll frame up this hunt. It was that last big snow we had. It's about 3-4 weeks ago. I guess it was.
It was first week of the year.
Was the first?
I just got back from Indiana.
Yeah, first week of the year, first big snow.
Yep.
It was an afternoon hunt on was Sunday afternoon. And me and Michael went and got on the big field. And this field's, from end to end, it's probably 600 yards long or longer. I would imagine. It's long, and it's a big field, probably about 150 yards wide. That, 600, over 600 yards long. Pine trees and big ditch to our back. Well, we've been sitting there in the snow, and it was cool. We've been seeing deer, and he got to shoot a coyote that day early in the afternoon. It was about 2:30, something like that. Deer started piling in, and they just kept piling in from everywhere. I don't know how many deer we counted that night. There was probably over 40. Well, we were waiting on a buck. He done killed his does, and Michael was wanting to kill him a big buck. We knew we had a big 8-point that had been around there. He's a wide 8, and that was the one that was on our list to kill as one of our trophy deers for this year. And so we were sitting there, and it had done gotten to probably about 4:30, I think it was. Yeah. It was about that last, right at prime time, fixing to be prime time. And sure enough, that buck come out probably 200 yards to our left. And I was like, Michael, that's the one. That's the one, but that's the big buck. But there was 3 other bucks with him, and they all started piling out there. And there's doe everywhere. And I've never, this is one of those hunts of a lifetime. I've never. You don't get to see snow in Mississippi a lot, so we're hunting in the snow. We've been watching deer all afternoon, and finally the bucks show up. And a target buck that we're looking for is the biggest buck of his life. And so he's to my right, well, the deer's to my, on my left, and we're in a 2-man stand. I didn't kind of move around. He had enough room to shoot, but we let the deer get on out. Probably 100, 125 yards into the field. And it was probably for him, it was in between 100. When he finally took a shot, the deer's probably about 150, 175 yards.
Yeah.
And I had my binoculars on, and I was watching the deer, and there's a couple other, bucks out there feeding around. They were milling around in the snow. And I got Michael to calm down because he's, that's the big one, Daddy. And he's all excited. And so I'm telling him, I'm like, all right, son, we're going to wait on him to turn broadside. I've got him in the binoculars. He's calmed down some. And I said, when you get ready, take that safety off and just take your breath and squeeze that trigger on it right on his shoulder. I'm trying to talk him through it, and he's on it. And he's like, I'm on him. I know I'm on him good. Boom, he fires a shot off, and I'm watching the deer in the binoculars. And I'm like, dang, son, you missed. Would you shoot over him? And because the deer don't move. He just looks up, raises to don't run off. And I'm like, man, you sure you was on him? Yeah, Daddy, I was on him. I was like, well, get another one in, because we're still in the stand. I've still got my binoculars on him. I said, he's still standing right there, son. You see him. And he's like, yeah, I see him. You sure that's him? I said, yeah, I'm positive that's him. He's right there. He's got his head angling back looking at us. And he was quartered a little bit. So he got back on him again, and that time he hit him. I mean, when he fired that time, I saw it hit him, but in the binoculars, I knew it hit him back. It was just the old Michael gut shot. Yeah. Put it right where he wanted it. But that deer kicked, put his tail down, and I saw right where he went in the woods. And so I was like, all right, son, we hit him back. Knew the impact was there, saw where the deer went. There's other deer still out. The field didn't clear. I mean, there's still deer out. There's still another buck out there. A bunch of them ran, but there was 40 deer in the field all around. We were surrounded. We had them on all sides of us. And I knew where that buck went, and so that's when we texted everybody. It was probably getting closer to, I don't know, by the time y'all got over there, it's probably 5 o'clock.
Yeah, when I was getting down, I could still see it without a light.
But it was still getting close. It was getting, I think, last light about them, but it was still snowing too. It was about, 5:15, 5:20. Well, they brought the side-by-side over, and we kind of collected. I knew about what direction it went. Waylon come over, my brother come over side by side, and we get gathered up, and we went over there to try to find blood, see where the deer were standing. And we looked, and there were so many tracks, like Mikey said, you couldn't tell. I knew about where it was. We didn't find blood in the field. And it was starting to get dark on us, and snow was starting to come down, and we just said, I think you said, well, let's just I'm going to go in these pines and look.
Yeah.
So me and Michael were kind of looking around on the edge of the pines where I knew it ran. Waylon went one direction in the pine trees. You went the other, and y'all were just kind of grid searching. And you didn't pick up on blood at first, so
I didn't pick up on
we
blood.
about gave up because you went in, it's like we thought we started coming back, and then Waylon said, hold on, I think he got to following this trail where it was like you could tell something had been drugged through the snow. Yeah. And there wasn't any blood, but then it got to his point, and I think that's about what time he met you in the woods. He's like, Mikey, I've been following. This just don't look right. And then you looked down and said, well, look, it laid down there, and sure enough, y'all were standing on top of the blood.
Yeah, we had walked in the woods looking for that blood, like at the last place y'all seen it, and nothing. And we were just grid searching. Waylon was going one way, and I went another way. Went around a little thicket that was up in there, and I thought maybe it was laid around. And that's actually where Waylon walked up on me at, was right by that thicket where that deer laid down.
Because you were just kind of going, if you was a hurt deer.
Yeah, if I was a hurt deer, which
go?
way would I went? Because there were so many freaking tracks in that snow. Whenever, the deer left the field, whether they walked out or ran out, it was just a mess, and there's no way to tell where that, any little droplets of blood would have just got covered up.
Yeah. But we had that drag line you found.
Yeah.
And then we found where it laid down and had pretty good blood.
Yeah.
And so we said, I guess we just decided, hey, we're not going to push this deer tonight.
Yeah. It laid down once right there. Like, as soon as y'all had shot it, it went inside the woods.
Not even 30 yards, probably.
Took a right and went about 30 yards and laid down.
Yeah.
And it was about the size of a sheet of paper of blood there.
Good blood, yeah.
And then I walked up a little bit further, and there was, not 20 or 30 yards, another spot, and then another one. And that's when we decided, like, all right, he's up and down. Let's back out.
So what we were doing is probably pushing, didn't realize it, because we didn't hear anything running, but it's snowing, wind's blowing, it's cold. We backed, but the snow was going to stop. It wasn't going to snow anymore. So we knew it wasn't going to get covered up, and it was going to be cold enough that we could probably recover that deer.
Yeah.
So we backed out, and that's when we called. The next morning, we called old hound dog, Mark Williams. We was like, look, we know we got a deer here. We got a trail. He's hurt. He must see. I was thinking he shot him through the leg. That's why he was dragging. It must have hit that rear leg, broke his leg or something. That deer's hurt. He probably wasn't going too far. So we got back over there the next morning, and it wasn't just super early. It was like 8:30,
9 o'clock.
And we were going to take some rifles in case that deer was still alive and flank out. And Mikey was going to get back on the trail where you left the marker. You left the orange vest there last night so we could find it. You were going to push it, follow that blood trail, and see if you could tell where he's laid down. We were going to cover the trails in case he tried to slip out. And so you went one way. You went around the north side. Me and Michael went back around the far south side, I guess. Mikey went in the woods. Well, this is where your part of the story picks up, Mark.
So I'm bebopping around and side by side going to the north end because, it's really not too many places that deer could come out of that thicket. So we would be able to see it. If it come out of that thicket, we should see it. And, I know this sounds crazy, but you just get them gut feelings like, hey, I need to look. And I just happened to, you got that feeling. I looked out the side of the side-by-side out of the door, and there's the perfect blood trail.
Coming out.
Good blood trail right there.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, heck, it's done made it to here. And so that's when I kind of called you and said, hey, pull around the north side. We're right here. I kind of
come out. It's crossed.
It crossed the road, and I tracked it to the property line fence. And it was like you pouring it out of a bucket. It was good blood.
Yeah, you could. Anybody could have followed that blood trail.
And snow made it easy.
Yeah, so we got to the fence, and we was just kind of looking over the fence, and we called Mikey about that time, as you were still off on different trails, and you had blood, and then didn't have blood, but then we kind of met up, and we knew where that deer had come through there. So we knew when we got to the fence, we was going to call the property owner and say, hey, see if we can get permission to go over there and look. Because just looking, once it crossed that fence, we didn't see any more blood.
Yeah.
And you think you would have saw some within 10 yards of the fence line with snow, and you could have got some direction on where that deer went, but it just disappeared. And that deer probably had ran 300 yards from where it was shot to where it was right there at the fence line.
Yeah.
It's probably about 300 yards. Through a pine thicket, across the trail, through some hardwood.
And I felt pretty good at that point. You never know because, we've seen crazy stuff, but for that deer to run that far and have that good of blood, I was like, this deer's down. We know for a fact it is. Right. It's just whether or not we can do our job,
Right. So one thing I felt that I left out is when we come back that morning, we had buzzards circling. So we knew, and they were right, as soon as we dropped down out of the ditch to come up in the other field, buzzards were all in the tree. They were close. And I was like, there's got to be a dead deer around here. But it wasn't nowhere near where that deer crossed that property line. So as me and Michael were leaving to go back and drive around and get permission for y'all to cross the fence, we went down in the ditch, and I saw some more blood on the side, and I was like, dang, what is this blood? It was just in the snow, and we drove by it already. And I was like, there shouldn't be blood right here. What is this? And I said, well, that's what them buzzards were on. And then I was like, Michael, jump out and see if you can follow that blood trail just right over the edge of the ditch. And he got out, and before he made it up the hill, I looked across the ditch right where we rode down, and that other deer was laying right there, like right there on not even 5 yards from where we crossed the ditch. And so I called y'all and said, we ain't got to worry about going over to the property owners. We got the deer right here. But it was a little buck. He was a little scraggly 7-point, kind of messed up on one side. And Michael's like, Daddy, that ain't the deer I shot. And I said, son, that ain't the deer I was looking at either. I don't know where this deer come from, but he fired 2 shots. So I was like,
And at that point, none of us know what the heck was going on.
I was so damn confused at that point. I was
Yeah.
like, man, that deer didn't go back down that way.
yeah,
So that's what we done. You know, it's like we kind of regrouped and come down there. Me and Mark did where you
Right.
was at because we done trailed this thing up through the pine thicket.
we had a blood trail going out
Yeah.
across the pines. And so I knew he'd shot the coyote, and we didn't go get the coyote. It ran back off in the woods where it came from. And so it got me to thinking, is that dang coyote's blood that went across that we
Yeah.
were on over there? So y'all went on the new trail because we had another blood trail with this deer that was right there on the ditch, and y'all
Followed it.
backtracked it.
Backtracked it.
Yeah, and y'all followed that one back to the field.
And
right?
it went. That's what me and Mark decided to do from there. Is like this.
Something
There's
ain't
no
adding up.
way this ain't adding up.
Y'all got a soap opera going on.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
This
This is
was.
real life deer hunting story right here.
Real life.
So me and Mark started just leapfrogging. So and this is how we track the deer, and this is the best. This is what Mark was talking about, like getting a buddy with you or something like that. 2 sets of eyes is better than one. So Mark would get on the blood, and he would follow it until he ran out. So I would circle around Mark,
Try to pick it
and
up.
go up 20 or 30 yards in front of Mark,
You don't
Kinda
move
in
from
that
where you got that
direction.
blood.
Yeah.
and just start scanning the ground as I start walking across Mark's trail, and then I would pick up on blood because the deer will be running and hopping or
Yeah.
whatever. He may have, whatever he's
Stumbled.
doing, he may have stopped bleeding for a second, started back. So I would pick up, and me and Mark were covering a lot of ground fast that way. And there were some tough spots where we had to kind of whip through some thickets, but
You know, we had all that snow. It's melting now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up in the
Yeah.
50s already.
yeah, we're losing
Snow's
blood.
melting fast. And you're in pine thickets. And I don't know if anybody's ever tracked blood in pine thicket, but you can't hardly see blood on pine thicket.
Yeah.
It just runs off of them.
Well, while y'all weren't doing that, I told Michael, I was like, look, let's go back and see if we can find that coyote. That's going to tell us what this other trail was. So we go back, and where he shot the coyote, it was maybe 10 yards, and I could see it from when we got off the side by side, kind of followed over to the edge of the woods. I was like, well, there's the coyote right there. That wasn't that coyote's blood. We still had another blood trail going over the fence to the neighbor.
Yeah.
So me and Mikey tracked that blood trail of the deer you found all the way back to the field where it was shot, and then we're like, all right, crap. Like, what is this? So then we go back again, go back to the fence. Let's backtrack it. And that's when we realized for sure we got 2 deer.
2 deer.
Yep.
We'd realized we had 2 deer. There was still another deer that had been shot and bleeding. So we loaded up the old scrub buck that was in the ditch. Coyotes had done.
He wasn't that bad. He just wasn't as big as us.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad deer. It wasn't that bad. I mean, probably one of the bigger deer Michael's ever killed. But so we load it up, go back to the house. Well, for one, the blood trail comes out of the ditch and goes back over in the other pines. It's like the coyotes have done it. I think what happened was the coyotes got on that deer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had destroyed it. I mean, they had ate its they had everything they could do. They'd done chewed on.
Yeah, he was pretty bad.
Yeah,
shape.
he was in bad shape. They drug him back down to the ditch and was trying to eat on him some more. We probably run him off that morning, really come back in
Yeah.
there. But we got that deer loaded up, what we could of it, because we're still going to get the head off of it. I hate we lost the meat. And then we went to trying to find the landowner to our north there to see if we could get permission to go on it. So it took us a couple of calls, and we called the local game warden. He knew the guy, passed us on another phone number to see, because we rode over there first, couldn't get no answer there. But we got somebody to call us back, and they said, sure.
Super nice
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, super
Yeah.
nice. Y'all just, don't try not to tear nothing
Be
up.
respectful.
Try not to tear nothing up, but go ahead and go back here and see if you can cover the deer. So with permission, we jump in the side by sides and go back in. We go
Round
back,
2. Here we
round
come.
2. We still, and it's still, I don't even know if is it noon yet? It's
No.
probably,
Well, yeah,
It
was,
probably
it
We,
was-
we got lunch. We had a bite when we was back at the cabin.
yeah. So it's probably coming up on
coming
11,
up on-
12. Yeah.
yeah.
And we get back over there and we go to the last part. We had blood. The snow's really starting to melt now. There ain't much left.
Yeah, 75% of it's gone.
Yeah, and y'all go over the fence and looking for blood. So me and Michael are still on the trail trying to see if we can tell where it went over the little hill. And this is where y'all got the story from there.
I mean, we both looked, and once we got over the fence, I mean, it's open cow pasture.
Yeah,
It's not like there's
with a big pond.
with a big lake right there in the middle of it. It's
Yeah.
not like he's got 3 options. There's a thicket to the left. There's a
Levied across.
Yeah,
and then
levee
go
across.
around the far end of the pond.
So that's what I thought he did, was went back down to the thicket. And so me and Michael jumped in side by side and started working our way around there.
and we walked. We looked at thicket, and
And that's, I mean, at that point, that's all you can do is because me and Mark had,
there was no
we were just
blood
looking
across the
for-
fence.
No, there was no blood across the fence. Tracks about, you you can't tell one track from the other. The snow's done melted. It's sloppy and slick, and so you just start looking like, if I was a deer, if I was hurt, where would I go? What's the easiest path? And me and Mark went down behind the levee, down in that thicket where y'all went. We walked that ditch, every thicket. I mean, we were rabbit hunting. We walked every briar thicket, everything, just looking for a deer laying in the ditch, on the side of the ditch. We walked it all the way out to a big old wide open field, nothing. We come back up, started back up the hill. Mark come up one side of the ditch and was walking up the back side of the levee, and I come up the ridge, and I got back to the fence, and I was just kind of standing there looking at where's the next place to go look for this thing at. And I look across, and I was like, he either went across this levee or went around this pond. And I'm standing there looking. Well, by this time, the sun's got up high in the air, so it's shining straight down on the pond, and I could see the buck's horns.
No, it looked like something out of a movie going, oh, just shining on
of the pond over
like the
there.
end of the rainbow was pointed on it.
And at that
sure
time,
enough,
I mean, we didn't know. We knew the deer was down.
Yeah.
But the way it was sitting from across the levee, it looked like it was just sitting there.
It looked like he was bedded.
Yeah, it looked like he had his head up and everything. I was like, crap. So that's when we kind of eased around to it, and Mikey went up around kind of out far from it. I stayed close to the pond where you could run right up on him. And once we got there, that's exactly what he did. I mean, he bedded down in that water grass right there. I think he swam the pond. I think he went straight to that pond. He swam that pond. That's where he stopped.
I mean, going around it would have not been the shortest distance.
He wouldn't have gotten the water if he walked all the way around.
Why would, if he was going to water, why would he wait to go around it to there? Why wouldn't he have just got in on the first bank? Because it was over the hill to the pond. Once he crossed the fence, was probably 150 yards. It wasn't far.
Yeah.
So if he swam that pond, he put in some work and he almost made it out. But like you said, he might have just been exhausted and bedded down there.
See, I think he walked the levee.
You think he walked?
My personal opinion.
And you didn't see any, there wasn't no blood on it, was it? Or we don't know?
No, we don't know.
Because it melted.
Just because of the way he was laying, and he just stepped down in the water and laid down watching his back trail.
You think he was just doing that? That's as far as he could make it, and he just said it.
That's all he had.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you never know.
Never know. But we recovered the deer, so that goes back into not giving up.
Don't quit.
Because if we would have gave up.
Technically, you'd lost, didn't know it, but you'd lost 2 deer.
Yeah, for real. For real.
And two, that's again, heat of the moment, honest mistake. Anybody could have done it. I mean, it's not like, Michael seen the deer, thought he was on it. You were looking at the deer. I mean, it happens, especially with children. That's
I
one of
had
them things.
no idea he shot the first one because I was like, oh, I knew he missed the one I was looking at.
Michael didn't think he done right. Like when we said it's another deer, Mike's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, is that the deer you shot? And I was like, no, you shot that deer. But
he still swears I don't think that
he said that's Mikey's deer.
He don't know who shot it, but he didn't shoot that. He was shooting at the big one. I mean, so the only thing I can speculate was he was on, like, when he was looking, he done got excited. Buck fever was taking over, and he just got on the wrong deer first and made a shot on it. And the other, it was, they were fairly close. I mean, they were within 10, 20 yards of each other, but the other bucks didn't run. The one did. So the big buck stood there enough time for him to
regroup.
Regroup, get back on him. And so it was.
I mean, is it the most graceful hunt? No. Is it a hunt he'll ever forget?
No. And he's got 2 bucks. He's got.
And I mean, that was a deer we all wanted.
Yeah.
Like,
he's a
he was pretty on camera. I mean,
it'd be hard for him
symmetrical.
to top that one. That's a good buck.
I know he was about 300 pounds trying to drag him out of that pond, though.
You don't realize how heavy deer are when they've been sucking the water all the
So
time.
I mean, that deer ended up being probably about 800 yards from where it was shot.
It was a long way.
I done the hunt stand deal and tracked it. I think it was almost 400 to the fence.
To the fence, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was probably, I guarantee it was 2 or 3 across that pond. That's a big pond, or a big lake.
Yeah, it was 200 or 300 yards from where I was standing when I seen him.
Yeah.
It was more than 2. It was about 300 yards.
Yeah.
to where
That's a
he was
long
laying.
way for that old deer to run. He was tough.
No big deer don't go down easy.
But I mean, it's only a matter of time. If you hadn't had an experience like that, you're going to. If you hunt, you're going to.
And the lesson learned there is don't give up on that track. And if you can't, I mean, there's people that have dogs now. Or, there's all kinds of Facebook groups here in Mississippi, especially where you can go get you some help. If you got blood, you can back out and call somebody with a dog. Or if you got tracking experience like y'all do.
It's just, I mean, I guess when I was a kid, and the only reason I even halfway I guess the first time my ever tracking experience was that 8-point Daddy killed down there in the bottom on Thanksgiving. And we tracked that deer 4 miles.
It was miles.
Miles.
And we did not push it. Daddy shot it.
We wouldn't have Thanksgiving.
He knew he made a bad shot. We walked out, left it, and we tracked it up. And I had a black lab at the time.
No, it was Daisy. It was blonde lab because she'd
might
been
be,
terrified of a gun ever
Yeah,
since.
it was. And we put her on it, and she tracked it all the way up to where it's bedded down in water.
And he made an awesome shot on it.
Did y'all recover the deer?
Yeah.
Oh,
Daddy-
wow.
Daddy shot that deer, and I remember it like I'm sitting in the stand right now. We're sitting in the box stand, and I was hunting with Mikey's 35. And deer come out, and it was about 340, 350 yard long shot, especially long shot back then. And Daddy's like, oh, that's too, we ain't going to take that shot. And it was a decent 8-point, Well, that deer stood up on its hind legs, started doing his antlers off of some honeysuckle. Daddy couldn't stand it. And I still to this day tell Daddy, you just told me it was too far because you wanted to shoot it, But
So
Daddy
he grabbed that gun?
No, he had his 308.
Oh, okay.
And he made the shot. And after recovering the deer, looking, he hit the deer dead money behind the shoulder. But when he shot, that deer stepped, and all he hit was meat. I mean, it hit him in the armpit, just went through there, and, didn't hit a vital organ, nothing. But, that deer bled and bled and bled. And, we had a decent track, and it was me, Jamie, Mikey, Thomas, I don't know, Jimmy. It was all of us, Denver.
A lot of us went down there after things, because so that was one of the first times that I had come and eat dinner with y'all was at Thanksgiving, and we all went down there, and I think it was Denver, and it was a slew of us went down there, and it was a group effort, but Fate knew where the deer had laid down, or I don't know. I remember crossing the ditch, hearing the shot as I come up the ditch, and Fate had shot it like 50 yards.
So it was still alive.
Yeah,
It hadn't
it got
expired
up.
yet. Yeah.
Yep.
But that's really the first time I've ever been around trying to track. Now when I was younger, I've seen plenty of piles of hair and didn't get no blood when I shot. But it's definitely something that I think everybody should be, do your diligence. Make sure to do all you can to recover that animal.
Don't just write it off.
Don't write it off because you never know.
Well, before we get away from bad shots, what's some of the things you can do or to correct bad shots? What would y'all recommend?
So this is something I've always seen people do it. I've never, and a lot of times you can't do this in all hunting situations, but hunting that field, them deer aren't rushing across that field. You have time. They're out there feeding. They might be out there 30 minutes. And this second to last doe I killed when I was hunting with Jay in that 400-yard shot, I took the shell out of the rifle, had nothing in it, got on that deer and dry fired that gun just to make sure I felt good, And you can't do that on all circumstances. But if you have a long shot and you're comfortable making them shots, make sure dry fire that gun at them. Watch them crosshairs when you pull that trigger. If that crosshair moves off that deer, you just jerked. I would recommend not taking that shot.
Yeah, I don't recommend taking longs like that if you can help it.
One of the biggest things is set your stands up to hunt a distance that you're comfortable hunting. If you're gonna push yourself, you're gonna stretch yourself, you're already making a mistake.
I see, that's just like growing up. We hunted with Billy Moore. He always hunted with a shotgun. And I'm like, how do you hunt with a shotgun? He's like, you don't never hunt
where you can
see and shoot further than what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
So, he hunt thick stuff all the time. You got to know.
You want to write on him.
Brian made a good point yesterday when we were hunting, and we shoot off benches, sighting our guns in. We're very comfortable doing that, but it never fails getting in those box stands. Yeah, you got a shooting ledge, but it's not
the same.
It's not the same. It's not what you're comfortable to.
Yeah.
Your windows may be a little low from your shooting bench or a little high. These adjustable office chairs do help in them situations, but
you don't have that elbow brace that you're used to on the bench. You know, you can stretch out.
If you're going to sight your gun in, shoot from uncomfortable positions, because that deer don't care if you're comfortable or not. Shoot. My hardest shot to me is shooting to my right. It's so hard for me, especially if you can't get turned all the way around. If you're trying to shoot this way, that's a hard shot to take. So definitely shoot from uncomfortable positions for sure.
I was going to say practice. That's the best time. There's so many people that they'll get that rifle out right at, when rifle season's coming, fire a few rounds down it to see if your scope's on. That's all they've shot that gun. And then you go out there in the woods with the adrenaline flowing, taking, a lot of times it's bad shots. You're not in the most comfortable position or whatever. And then you have misses. So putting that time in during the off season at the range or wherever. And like you said, I mean, you don't want to go out to your deer stands and practice shooting out those, but you could try to recreate what that's like.
When I bow hunted, I shot out my climbing stand, and it's harder to do with a rifle, but if you have the access, just shoot off a regular chair with no shooting rail. Get used to doing that because it may be a time you take a free-handed shot.
Yeah, I know that's been my son's biggest problem. He just hadn't fired enough shots to be comfortable. Now, it's one thing I can take him to the range and he can punch targets all day long, but when you got a living, breathing deer out there, and then you got to take in for that, it changes. Yeah, and that was one thing you talking about Brian hunting. He come in after he got him a doe this past weekend. He was like, man. Do you always get excited like that? Is it always like that? And I said, man, you want it to be. Yeah. Because when you lose that, it ain't no fun,
That's right.
I like that. I told him I stay excited like that on every deer I shoot. I mean, it ain't.
If I know I'm not going to shoot, I'm calm. But if all right, it's time to get a doe, I get just as nervous. I mean.
I love it. That's where the junkie flow comes in there. That's what, it's like a straight shot of adrenaline.
So you got on here to talk about Brian's hunts, Mikey. I know we kind of covered some of this.
We covered some of it. I mean, it was, Brian had a tough season. It's not his first year to hunt, but what was his story? He killed a deer when he was
20 years ago.
20 years ago with his dad, and since then he's never hunted or done anything, so he's pretty much new. I mean, he's just like our a young kid
he is
into it.
Brand new to hunting.
He can shoot very well. He's got a very fine rifle. I mean, I've shot his gun and watched him shoot it, and Brian could shoot. But then you get in those elements like we were talking about.
That adrenaline goes.
That adrenaline gets to pumping. That's right. And I'm not dragging Brian through the mud by no means.
Oh yeah.
But because it's happened to me, it's happened to everybody at this table. An easy chip shot for him on the range. He flatfoot just missed a couple of deer this year.
Yeah.
Easy shots for him. But it's that adrenaline, and that's what makes us want to hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Is that adrenaline rush and that nervous and just excitement of I'm fixing to take an animal, I'm fixing to try to make this shot. God help me get this shot made, and not
clean.
cripple this thing up bad, or whatever you do, whatever your little process is before you shoot a deer. And Brian learned that this year it's just not easy, and everybody learns that is how to deal with that. How to get that under control and to level it out where you can make a good shot.
Well, too, I've learned from hunting with him. Like, I've watched him get, shook up, and like me trying to talk him through it to like get him to calm down or whatever. Same thing with hunting a kid. I've learned more from sitting with people that's new to hunting or new to like Jay. Yeah. Jay's not new to hunting. But he's new to rifle hunting. And that was a completely different element. And, he's not used to going out seeing 20 and 30 deer. So it was a completely new experience to him. And to kind of watch, not necessarily newcomers, but people with new experiences come in and watch them try to control their emotions and control their excitement. Heck, I learned from that, I mean, it's just as fun for me to sit with somebody and hunt as it is for me to hunt.
Also, the best hunts I had this year was sitting with somebody. Which I love hunting with Michael. I didn't take my rifle until he killed those two bucks. I didn't really take my rifle in because I was always with him. It was about watching and learning and trying to help him.
We had a very, very good season. I had a good time. That's for sure.
So let's talk about the end of the season and the doe killing and the different things we done to clean up our list for the year and kind of meet our goals that we had set early in the year.
Our primarily goal was to help that population take some mouse off the land because the food plots, you couldn't have anything. You couldn't grow anything for the amount of deer we had. They wiped out our summer beans. We tried to put in, 10, 15 acres of summer plots for them, and we couldn't get them out of the ground. We fought weeds all year. We realized we had a doe problem, put our fall plots in, and they didn't do near what they should have done this year, and we had some good plots. But you just can't grow anything for the amount of deer. So we set a high number of doe that we wanted to take, and it was like 18. That was our,
that was on one.
It was on one property. Yeah, just on one piece of property.
175 acres.
Yeah, I think so.
Close to that.
And to have that many deer, and the biologist, he said, I can't recommend y'all take that many deer off that place. Well,
we ain't put a dent in them.
We ain't put a dent in them. I saw in one plot, a week ago, I counted 45 no bucks, 45 doe. That's after we've done kill what we've killed. They're still just overpopulated. And I think that, there's places you see stuff online. You see people making comments about they're not seeing any deer. I think the majority of Mississippi, the doe population is just exploded. You've got people that just want to hunt trophy bucks, so they're not killing does. And it's so bad for the population. It's really hurting your trophy buck hunting because you've got so many deer eating up the food sources that these bucks can't grow because they don't have nutrition there for them.
And we talked about that in the previous podcast. Just the mindset that everybody's had about not killing the does. And we, trying to get away from that. Because we made it fun this year killing does.
Heck yeah.
I mean,
I enjoy killing. I mean, I don't mind killing doe. I love eating doe. Doe's much better to eat to me than bucks, so why not kill does?
I tell you what I noticed too, and this
I like
is
killing trophy does.
Oh, y'all like killing tender does.
I like killing
That's a
tender
trophy.
does too. That is a trophy. What do you mean?
something. You made a very, very good point. Is it's late season. You had 40 deer in a food plot. You think all them 40 deer come off our property? Nope.
No.
Them food plots pulled them 40 deer from who knows
everybody
where.
else, yeah.
Because nobody else around us has
Exactly.
got anything
Yeah,
close.
that's right.
I mean, our food plots are,
When you got
they
woods,
toe up right now,
but
but
the woods are there's not an acre left in the woods, and then all you got hay fields and cow pastures around you. They're going to go to the food plots. I mean, you can't that's just what they're going to do. So we're trying to create habitat to keep some of those deer on our place, but that's it's a challenge to manage because when you don't most people we don't have access to hundreds and hundreds of acres of land. We're trying to make the best
capitalize
we
on what
can
you
with
got.
what we have and create the habitat on that to to increase our encounters with deer. And we've just been fortunate to grow some stuff and have a lot of deer around us too.
one of the biggest things us managing is us being friends with our neighbors or knowing our neighbors.
Yeah, having a
And being able to talk to Chuck and them that have the property to the south of that new place that you bought, and just to the east of it. So finding out what they done, and actually they wound up killing 14 does last week.
Last week they did, yeah.
And then I don't know what they killed throughout the season or whatever, but they did some of the management for that property for us because they're so close. I mean, they touch us, so that helped a lot. Where we
I
didn't
talked
have
to
do
one
so much.
I talked to one of the other neighbor on the other side last night, and he said they only killed 4 or 5 doe, and that's off 1,000 acres there.
And see, that's just the flip side of that.
Yeah.
We did the doe management
For
over on
them.
that
Both
area
properties.
for both
Yeah,
properties,
yeah.
and Chuck and them helped us out on that other property.
So if one of us hadn't done it, I mean, you wouldn't even
Yeah.
improve the problem at all.
No.
We'd still have the same thing going on.
We knocked a dent in them, but we didn't.
Oh, we didn't phase them, yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
expect
those
this-
we left are going to reproduce this spring.
Yeah.
Or they're fixing to drop
They're
yellow in the
already.
spring, and it's going to be.
Well, the good thing I noticed this year, seeing all these doe, most of our older does had twins. See a lot of twins there. There's the young deer are good. The racks on the young bucks we've seen are good. So we kind of identified some bucks that call it genetics, call it injuries or what, that had less than desirable racks that we took out. You killed one of the big ones that
Sling
we've
blade.
been seeing, and Michael got one of them. I shot another one last night that was wounded that wasn't going to make it through the year, and I guess that's really the only ones you would, if you want to call them cull bucks or whatever, that we took out. There were still a few more that we didn't take out that we never could see. That was split
Split beam.
brow, split beam one, and
Because there
We've
were
got a few
several
more.
I was wanting to get because I was going to let the boys do what they were going to do with the with the other deer, but if I seen the cull bucks, that was kind of like a a doe to me or whatever. As soon as I seen it, is get it off the property. 'Cause
yeah,
it's undesirable. We don't want it no more. So, and that was one of the things I wanted to talk about was the importance of getting those out of the herd. Not letting those breed. We talk about trying to get them early in the season, but if you don't get them, you still need to get them off the property.
yeah. Well, you're not going to.
You're going to feed that deer another year, and you're going to wind up having to get him anyway.
That's the way I look at it. It's not going to be. I mean, if he's a trophy deer to me, hey, I shot a big 6 this year. I like a big 6.
Yeah.
But that's not the deer we wanted around there. I'd rather see young 8s or young 10s, and that's the ones you don't want to kill, and then kill these other ones just because they're less than desirable racks. Are they culls? I mean, we still eat them. We still, it's still a trophy to whoever shoots it. but I don't know. It's not really what you want. It's less than desirable deer. So that's what we're trying to manage for. We're never going to really affect our genetics just because it's just almost impossible to do.
But that's what
We don't have the
makes it fun,
land.
though.
That's what makes it fun trying.
That's right. I mean, there's an
But-
array of deer we can shoot at.
Yeah,
out there.
heck yeah.
You can get you doe, or you can get you a cool buck.
But one thing about all those deer with the jacked up racks is they'll mess up your young deer. They get to tussling with them racks that don't match up on a young 8 or something
And
like
that's-
that, them scrappy ones, and then they injure them and they end up messing up those deer's racks.
Yep.
So you can think of it like that. If you're managing for rack size, try to keep your young 8s, and try to keep your 10s, and you get them 6s and 7s that are kind of jacked up and gnarly. Go ahead and get them out of the way.
And we talked about that back in one of the other podcasts about not being genetics all the time. Is it being a bacteria or
whatever,
something
injury
in the horns that they can transmit over to another deer?
Yep.
So that deer's already got that bacteria, or whatever. If they get to tussling and fighting,
I know one thing I learned is we ate good. We had a lot of fun. We may not have killed the biggest deer in Mississippi, but we did our part.
So did I hear Jay ask one time? Is this legal?
Yeah. No, he asked every day, is this legal?
So Jay's from up north, and did they do tags? Is that right?
Yeah, they got
They
tags,
had tags.
and they just recently went to centerfire rifles.
And they don't kill doe. He's
Oh.
like, their doe are like treasures to them.
Yeah,
Because
they only allow one buck a year,
yeah.
and I think they can kill
They can kill doe.
2
but they
does or
don't
something.
kill doe.
Yeah,
And he said their thinking is, why would you kill a doe that's attracting your bucks? I guess they only kill one buck and they try to make it a trophy buck. They want all the live bait
Yeah,
they can get out there. They look at them does as bait, which
their ratio is way different now.
Yeah.
yeah, I imagine it is. I mean, I still asked him. I was like, "What's it like now? Have you got food right now?" And he said, "Oh, every deer in the county's in the food plot." So that'd be a good indication of how many does and stuff you got. I guess they just spread out because they're just hunting thickets and all
Yeah.
these vast fields
of corn.
of corn. Yeah, so they've got big deer, but
They he
it's
killed
different kind of terrain or environment that we're hunting.
one of his buddies killed a really good buck. I think opening weekend of rifle season. The neighbor had that deer on camera at like 9 o'clock Friday night. He killed it at 7 o'clock Saturday morning, and it was almost 7 miles
That deer
between
got
it.
some range.
And you don't ever hear about a deer traveling that far here. They don't have to.
So on occasion you might see one, but
I mean, that's a
a
call.
mile is about, they say, their territory. So
But no, he did, which we kind of we started
We're
off.
legal now.
We were legal. No, there was nothing.
Everybody shot a doe that evening. We killed
Yeah.
4 does one afternoon.
there's
He-
nothing illegal about
He's
that.
never seen anything like that. So we're sitting.
But did you tell him that we had, what was our doe number for our county? 20? I think you could have
The
had,
limit you can kill 10.
was it 10 doe? Okay.
per
person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was 10 and or $4 this year, maybe.
So we're
we
sitting
didn't even
there.
get close to one person limit.
No.
you know.
No. He's never been around it. He's never been hunting around a rifle. And, deer was 120 yards. He's like, can I make this shot? And I'm like,
Yeah.
put it on his shoulder. You got it, But so he shot and killed his doe. And then one of y'all shot and killed a doe. And then another one of y'all killed a doe. And I was like,
tag teaming
We're
that
tag
afternoon.
teaming.
well, heck, I looked at Jay. I said, I ain't gonna be the only one not killing a doe. I said, swap seats with me. So I moved, and that's when I shot my doe, And he looked at me, and he's like, you sure we're legal? And I was like, yes,
Yeah,
we are fine. Like if another one comes out, we're probably gonna get it too,
Yeah. That's what you
But
call management.
and he did. He had a blast. That was cool because he's never been around that as far as that style of hunting and the deer population. He's never seen
Yeah.
that many deer in one sitting. It's just completely different what he's used to. And that's one thing that kind of, I guess we take for granted. Yeah, we may not have the biggest bucks, but we have some deer, and we see a lot of deer. And it's a good time.
They'll gradually they'll get bigger as we let them grow older.
Yep.
Just got to not kill them young ones. It's hard to do.
All right, you said food. What was your favorite thing you ate this deer season?
Man, that's tough there. The favorite thing I had or most unique thing?
No, what was your favorite? What was the favorite meal you had at deer camp between opening day and closing day?
Oh, shoot. I don't know that. That's tough. Probably going to be that duck and sausage gumbo with shrimp bread.
Might have to. I'm gonna follow suit on that. That's
That
pretty,
was good.
that's pretty
That
good.
was
The deer gumbo we did was excellent too, though. The most unique thing was heart. I never had heart till we did it this year.
I already know what Jamie's gonna say.
What was yours?
Oh, I went down there enough. But
Yeah.
hands down at breakfast.
Breakfast?
yeah, some
We made some gravy this year now.
The old leftover ribeye steak and Como gravy was pretty solid.
Was you there that day?
No,
Oh, man, that was a good one.
It was good. But no, the deer heart, I didn't get to eat the one y'all cooked, but I've had it before. It's been delicious. I got one in the freezer right now, matter of fact. So
That was my first time. That was actually surprising.
Surprisingly good.
It'll be a regular thing anyways.
Yeah, definitely. There ain't no use to throw them away.
Yeah.
You don't blow them up.
I don't really want to put it in a bag and like put it in the freezer for my wife to go to digging around
Just
down there.
find
Like,
the
what
thing
in
to
the
roast.
hell is
You know, I don't know
this?
how they do froze. That's something. If I was going,
if you muscle it out and freeze it, they say it does all right.
really,
But they say if you don't muscle it out, that like those tendons and stuff tend to
so
break
tight.
down, and you can't get them out of there.
oh really?
So that's what I've done. I muscled it out, and it's like 4 little small portion steaks, and
Yeah.
just vacuum seal it. Clean it up real good.
Mikey cleaned it up. We pan seared it with some butter and just salt and pepper. And man, it tastes as good. I mean, it was like sirloin steak, just kind of
It was good.
melt in your mouth. But
I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was gonna be tough. I thought it was gonna
Yeah.
be tough as crap. About like old chicken gizzard or something.
yeah,
But it wasn't. It was.
no,
it
I was
really
expecting.
tender.
Yeah, I was expecting to be real minerally and real tough. And it was, you barely cook it, you barely sear it, so it's it's rare. But it would it had a little bite, but for texture, but it mainly melt too. So it was really good. Surprisingly good. We turned my brother into a deer eater this year. He never really liked deer.
He'd have starved this year if he
Yeah.
wouldn't ate deer down there, because we cooked some deer.
We cooked a lot. We
Yeah.
cooked a lot of meals with deer. The deer gumbo that we did was the first time I'd ever made a gumbo using venison or deer meat, and we that was when we chunked it up and just kind of browned it in the.
And it was a
salt.
roast.
We took our sausage, cut our sausage up first, seared it off, pulled it out, left that grease in the pan, and then you seared the chunks of hindquarter, like cut up like stew meat. Just get it brown in there. And I made a roux, browned our vegetables up. After we browned the deer meat, we browned the vegetables up, added that back to the roux, and then put our meat in there and started building that gumbo. Put some okra in the oven, kind of dried it out so it ain't so slimy.
And you
Got
forget
that in
about
there.
it usually.
And then we cooked it down, and we just cooked it down until that deer meat was tender. Man, you probably couldn't even tell it was deer by the time it was said and done. It was just like really good roast inside that gumbo.
Tender as could be.
Yeah, it melt in your mouth. I mean, with the sausage and the veg in it, it was just perfect gumbo.
I tell you, we did learn something. A lot of times, just regular nothing on it deer meat in a skillet, it's hard to get color on it. It's
Yeah.
hard to get it to like caramelize up. And we kind of put it in that grease from that sausage and seared it up, and it got a little color, but it didn't look real good. And I pulled it out and put it on paper towel and patted it dry, and then just put it right back in there, and it
Brown
colored up
instantly.
good
Yeah,
then.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get some of that moisture off of it,
Yeah, I think that's what the big thing was, taking the moisture off of it. So it does better the drier it is to get it in a skillet like that and do it. It'll brown up better. But that was a highlight meal right there.
It was a very, very good season. I had a blast. It was.
Now we're ready for turkey season.
Well, we got to do our squirrel.
Yeah,
Our squirrel killing championship.
man, there's a bunch of them down there. That's what Michael told me last night. He said, if I'd have brought my squirrel gun to this thing, I could have killed 20. He didn't see a deer last night. But
Oh, I felt so bad. I didn't know he was in the stand. I come blowing right by him. He was in there waving at me.
He said,
I didn't even see him.
out of my gun, went to get down. Mark just goes up the hill. He was out there.
at?
In the mud hole stand.
He was standing out there. I went back, got him after you got back over there. And,
It's pitch black dark too.
He was standing
it
at
was
the
dark.
He was
road.
standing in the field?
He was standing at his road. Phone was dead. He said, "Well, I thought something was up. Mark didn't come get me."
Oh man, you left him out there. No
I didn't know he
phone,
was
no
there.
light, no nothing.
Michael said, "Come down here." So we struck out, and I didn't know I blew right by Michael. He's standing out there in the dark. Thought we done
His
left him.
phone had died, so I couldn't tell him I was looking for a deer. I could come get him in a minute.
I know who his daddy is, and I promise you, I guarantee he had a little panic in him. He was ready to get out of there.
He was ready, I'm sure. Well, what else y'all got, gentlemen?
Time to get some old spring plots put in the ground.
It won't be long, will it? Time to do a little tree management.
That's
We're
right.
going to plant some trees and hinge some trees, and
I'm not breaking my ankle this year.
that's right. Clean up some trails, get the stands winterized. And
A lot goes into it.
A lot goes into it. But Jamie, you got anything else?
I'm good.
You good?
I missed a bunch of hunting this year. But
Yeah.
He's quiet today.
Well, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us here at Buck Junkie, and we will be back next week.
See y'all.
We'll see y'all.